Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to bonus episode number 2 of Comics Covered, covering the recent events of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the movie. So if you are here, hello, first of all. Second of all, if you haven't watched the movie, get the fuck out of here.
We're angry at you. Go get the fuck out of here.
I hate you. God damn.
That's not true.
I'm sorry. We love you nonetheless, but see the movie. Okay, but we're going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp because we like talking about movies and we like talking about comics. So this is almost like an amalgamation of them both.
Amalgamation. Wow. So we both saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. I saw it this past weekend, and you just saw it as of this recording last night.
Yes.
Which would have been Friday.
Friday.
Fresh in your mind, what's your kind of like general thoughts on it? Like what was the feeling you came away with?
So I think this movie, I don't know if this movie was best marketed as an action movie.
No, yeah, that's a fair point. Like the marketing for this movie in some ways was like somewhat misleading. Like
a little bit.
Well, like in the roles in which some of the characters play and like the type of movie it is. Because it's not, I think a lot of what makes it interesting and a lot of its shortcomings are both tied in with how this movie is very different from, normal superhero movies or a lot of Marvel's superhero movies.
Yeah, like I thought this movie should have been more so a family drama with sprinkles of action, because I thought the family dynamics of it were done really, really well, and they could have done a lot with like focusing on like the parallels between Michelle Pfeiffer and Hope Van Dyne, and also Scott not wanting to be away from his daughter for a long time, which they touched on a little bit. And I thought both of those, when they laid into those family sort of things, I thought it was really great. But I think they, kind of scarfed that a little bit for, some humor, which was funny, but I didn't think it was that. Like, I don't think the humor was as good as the first one. I don't think the action was as good as the first one. But I thought the family was delved into really well in this one. I liked the movie, don't get me wrong, and I thought a lot of the action was really, really fun and awesome. But I don't know. I think the movie was confused as to what it was.
I think it was more that you didn't know going into I think this movie would be better on a second watch. Because I think a lot of what maybe was somewhat deflating about the movie, and again, I want to agree with you. I did like the movie.
Yeah.
But I think some of what was a little deflating about it was the fact that it is very different from kind of what you're expecting going into this movie. It was so much less about the action there is action and stuff in it and some fun action scenes, but it's much less about the action from a plot's perspective and about the villain and about all of that kind of stuff, than it is, about kind of this journey, to get, Michelle Pfeiffer's Janet Van Dyne back from the quantum realm. But one of the big things that kind of like was super misleading about the marketing, was the use of Ghost. In the movie. Yeah,
definitely. Which I thought, honestly, I was pleasantly surprised by, because I thought it was a really, really cool way to do it. Like, have her be this in pain person who's just trying to be like, not in pain forever, and who has been abandoned, but through her eyes, been abandoned by a lot of the figures in her life, and who has one father figure in Lawrence Fishburne's character. I don't know. When I keep thinking about it, I just really thought they could have laid into the family dynamics so much, because you have Ghost, who can have abandonment issues, who's in pain, who her parents are gone now and she has nothing to live for. You have Hope, who has lost her mother, but there's always been the hope that she's still out there, and now she is. And there's also Scott, who hasn't been away from his daughter for very long, but he could possibly if he keep getting roped into all this shit. So I don't know. There was something there that I wish they laid into. But yeah, with Ghost, I thought it was really cool how they used her, and they easily sympathized you with her and made you know that she's not doing anything bad. She's not. I mean, she was trying to, but then Lawrence Fishburne got her back on it, which I thought was a really nice touch. So like a lot of the marketing for this movie, you know, like they marketed Ghost as like, this is the villain of this movie, and she's I don't know if I got this just from like looking at a history of Ghost as a character or what, but like I thought she was gonna have this vendetta against like big business,
against like big business, like she's some sort of saboteur or something. But like,
that's really what she did say that companies used her for that in the movie. But
it's much more just like all the characters in this movie, except for maybe like the like gang element in it, are like they're doing what they think is right. Even like Ghost and Lawrence Fishburne's, I don't know what his character's civilian name is.
I forgot. Bill Foster.
Bill Foster, Goliath. He never got big in this movie. Slightly disappointed, but whatever. Like they are doing what they think is right, and like it. Like I love the way in which they upset a lot of those kind of tropes. Like the ostensibly like the villain of this movie in Ghost, is like someone who is put in an antagonistic path with the main characters, but not because she's this mustache twirling villain out to like kill the heroes or take over the world or whatever, or it's just because like she is so caught up in her quest to like heal herself that like it puts her against those other characters, and she is doing potentially bad things in like possibly like killing Janet Van Dyne, but like it's wrapped up in this sense of self-preservation in a way that like doesn't they really like make you feel for her, you know, in the movie. And I think like that's some of the stuff that's really interesting about the movie, in their approach to her and Bill Foster, and at points in the movie it does feel a little bit deflating because it is lacking that big like sense of like a really strong antagonist. But also I think what they did here is in a lot of ways interesting in how it's different, and I like that they did that with those characters.
So I thought with I don't know, I think this is also hurt by the time that's coming out. Like, with all other MC movies out the window, not thinking about it, it would have been a better February release or winter or something, because summer is tough to market something like this as well. And I mean, I don't know how it's going to do in the sales. I was surprised that my showing on a Friday night, the second weekend after it's out, was almost empty. So, and it didn't sell any tickets till the day of.
I think it surpassed the first movie in terms of ticket sales.
I don't know.
At this point in its release, I think that was what it was. We'll look up the box office right now. But
let me also say, like, I don't know. I thought I don't know. There were some jokes that kind of missed it for me as well in this. Like, I don't think it served well as a comedy in the way that the first one kind of did, you know?
The comedy in this one felt like it was, somewhat lacking a little bit. There were good bits.
I can think of two specific sequences that I thought were, like, laugh out loud, absolutely hysterical. One was Scott Lang, his thing, like, going wrong, so he looks like a middle schooler, like, size.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
That was hysterical, walking around the school.
At the same time, it was kind of a visual gag that was, like, funny when it happened.
Yeah.
And then the scene just kind of kept going. It would have been funny if, like, a teacher had walked in on them and he had to pretend to be a kid or something, and that would have been a good way to capitalize on it. But, like, it was just kind of the rest of that, like, 10-minute scene or whatever was just dependent on, like, and look, he's still small.
Yeah,
you know?
I can see that. But it
was a really funny gag, like, to begin with, and there was some
Yes.
funny visual stuff going on with him. He had like a big hoodie on and like looked like he was a child in an elementary school. I guess someone did walk in on them at some point, but they didn't do a whole lot with it.
He asked for a hall pass and then he just ran away.
Yeah.
The other one that I thought was hysterical was Michelle Pfeiffer taking over Paul Rudd's body.
Yeah, again, but that's another example of, like, it felt like they could have done more with it.
Really?
The other characters seemed like after like a second they were just kind of like they had accepted it and went along with it. And
I thought that made it funnier, honestly. Like, they were just kind of like, "Oh, honey,
it was pretty funny." Yeah, Paul Rudd's like becoming this very like feminine middle-aged woman in that scene was like really well done. I thought he did that really well. Also, I know it's like silly and gimmicky, but like the big ant like going about Scott Lang's like daily routine, very funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I forgot about? I keep forgetting about Michael Pena in this movie. I thought I would be really annoyed with him, honestly. And like he toes.
Did you not like him in the first movie?
No, I just think his character in this, like, he toes that line of like you're just almost annoyed with him, but he's really funny.
Yeah, he's one of the best parts of both these movies. Like, he's one of the funniest parts, I should say.
And the truth serum thing was just like him on that drug thing, like telling him all the details. I thought that was such a good reveal of like, because he hadn't done that story thing that he did in the first thing, and I thought that sort of like punchline was really, really great, really well done.
Truth. There's no such thing as truth serum.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna like reiterate, that like there were good comedy bits in this, but I did feel like, like some of the comedy bits in the first movie were much stronger. I'm wondering how much of that's the humor in that first movie is remaining from the original approach by Edgar Wright. Yeah, because there a lot of that first movie you can feel. Like, you can tell the bits of that movie that feel like they came from Edgar Wright. And some of the humor, I'm willing to bet some of the comedic beats are taken directly from that original script by him. And this one felt just that little bit, like, less, I don't know, cartoony.
It felt like humor. More vanilla in the Marvel style, like more Marvel style funny, as opposed to like. It didn't feel
quite as much like a comedy as the first movie did.
Yeah.
You know?
It felt more quippy.
Even though, there's still good bits in there.
I want to talk about like, Janet Van Dyne is the mom. Hope is the daughter. Okay. Janet Van Dyne, these power things that she has at the end, is that a thing in the comics?
Not as far as I know. That seems to be a new invention of this. At the end of the movie, if you're listening and haven't seen the movie for some reason, at the end of the movie she has the ability to, like, she comes back from the quantum realm and she has some sort of ability to, like, heal people.
Like some quantum energy sort of thing.
Yeah.
I wonder, because she also used the word evolution very pointedly.
Yes.
I was wondering if that's like some sort of veiled thing about X-Men mutants.
Yeah, I've seen some theory stuff online about the quantum realm, and like her saying, and like them like capturing quantum energy or whatever.
Like if that's going to be
some
the birth
sort of in to introduce the mutants into the Marvel universe this late in the game.
That'd be crazy if they just like started becoming a thing like in this universe. That'd be so weird. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like everybody else always thought like, you know, these characters could be there but just in the background not doing anything. But if this is literally like this is going to be the first birth of it, they could do so much.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I mean, it's it's pretty easy to like get super ahead of ourselves in terms of like how are they going to introduce the X-Men and stuff. But like again, like it could be they're setting it up, but also like they have to be entirely hedging their bets on that because like that stuff. First off, this movie was probably in the works before that. I mean, like there may have been inklings of that deal going through, but I highly doubt that it was as much of a sure thing as it has been in the last like 6 months.
Yeah, I can see that, but it's just one word.
We're talking about the Disney Fox deal, by the way, which would allow Marvel to use the X-Men mutant characters. But like, it could be an in, but also their ability to use the X-Men and Fantastic Four characters, any of the Fox characters is I feel like timeline wise so far out, like. I don't think they're going to be able to use them for at least like another 5 years or something.
I mean, yeah, but it's just one word, you know? It's just her saying evolution is all that made me think of it. And I don't know. It's an interesting...
I have seen people who like think that same things. People theorizing on the internet about that. Yeah, because she does say that word, and that is a very like evocative word in the context of Marvel. Mm-hmm. To specifically use that. And yeah. I'm sure they are aware of that, whether or not it actually ends up leading into that or not. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you think that they should have used Scott's daughter as a point of danger at all in this?
I mean, I don't know.
I just thought she was so good, and I kind of wanted more of her. She was so adorable as like, I don't know.
I thought one of the best child actors I've seen in a movie in a while. Like, she's
I'm gonna make it more specific.
Genuinely funny.
I'm gonna make it more specific. Yeah, I'm gonna make it more specific to that. Like for child actors who she wasn't asked that much of this role. This role didn't ask a lot of her. Like the kids in It, they were great. That shit asked a lot from them. But child actors where they don't need to do a lot, they can easily become complacent and just non-parts of the story, which is totally fine. But she was actively like just really adorable, really just those scenes with her and Paul Rudd like were just so heartwarming and so good. Like, it's I don't know. It's easy for me to say a really good performance of a child actor in like Stranger Things or It, but this is like, I don't know, a different side of child acting that I feel like you don't get really good performances from all that much, even if they don't lay into her all that much.
Yeah, that's Abby Ryder Fortson is this actor's name, I should say.
Okay.
And yeah, I feel like we also saw her, like, she's adorable in that first movie and like has some genuinely funny comedy beats.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like we saw her kind of like she grew actually as an actress, which is kind of like always a bit of a gamble with like series with child actors. Sometimes they get older and like they don't necessarily get better at acting.
I mean, the Rupert Grint philosophy.
Oh boy, Rupert Grint. I mean, to a certain extent,
terrible.
Certain extent, one could argue Daniel Radcliffe, but he's generally solid. Yeah. Even if like I don't know, I don't think he grew a ton in the Harry Potter series. But side point. But Rupert Grint. But like I think she like genuinely like the small dramatic beats that she got in this movie. I think like you definitely saw her able to like portray those a bit like more convincingly than in the first movie. Mm-hmm. And like yeah, she's just like weird. Like the comedy beats they give her are like kind of quirky and off kilter, mm-hmm. but like she makes them work and they're very funny. And she's just this weird kid. Yeah. And portrays that very convincingly. She loves like gross things and like just had this very odd sense of humor. And I really like her as a kid character. I hope, because in the comics, Cassie Lang is a character who goes on to be a more superheroic character.
Okay.
In teams like the Young Avengers. She do not remember what her like superhero name is, but she gets like size changing powers. She can grow. If she continues to like kind of grow as an actress, I think that would be a really cool to like introduce like a new part of a new generation of superhero characters that could like imagine like a young Avengers team or something that like maybe Tom Holland leads it or something, and then like we get like a bunch of new kid superhero characters. I think that could be really fun.
It'd be really fun. Interesting. Wow. I mean, that'd be such a crazy, like, random... I mean, I'm really excited to get to the point in the Marvel Universe where these random characters are going to start, like, you know, like, oh, you remember that person? They're an actual character. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a cool thing that you get in comics all the time, obviously, but it's just... It's unheard of in movies.
Yeah, and also, in a lot of ways, their hand is going to be forced to make a lot of big changes in terms of, like, the character layout, like, and dynamics in these movies, because I think we've talked about this on the show before, but like these actors age and their contracts end and stuff, and like they're going to be forced to push smaller and smaller characters into the spotlight in a way that, like, in some ways the comics have never really been forced to do.
Yeah.
Because you know, the characters don't necessarily have to age because they're just, you know, ink on a page. They can keep returning back to Peter Parker is Spider-Man and Steve Rogers is Captain America. And sometimes that's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not, you know, depending on the approach. But like, it's going to be interesting to see how, if these movies continue to be successful, like they're going to have to push the legacy of this universe in a way that, like, the comics never are forced to. We're going to see a new if this universe doesn't collapse in on itself and become a pile of crap, we're going to see a new generation of superheroes come to be and become the main thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
Really cool. So let's use our last, several minutes to talk about these, after credit scenes. One particularly. You told me before I went to see this that one was going to be a funny scene and one was going to be like a more serious, like kind of serious scene. So when the first mid-credit scene started, I was like, oh, they're making jokes and stuff. This is going to be like a funny sort of, thing. Like they're getting this energy or whatever. Oh my God.
So the post-credit scene here, to remind anyone, they've made a portable version of the Quantum Realm tunnel, and they're sending Scott Lang in to collect quantum energy to apparently use to fuel Janet Van Dyne, is what it sounds like.
No. They're saying for our ghost friend. So
for our ghost friend.
So I think Ghost needs a constant thing. Yes.
Which is interesting. They put her, like, at the end of the movie, they're kind of like on the same side, and I think that's fascinating.
It's great.
They're collecting quantum energy to help her like stay solid, like stay normal. And I think that's really cool. But yeah, then the effects, because this movie kind of takes place concurrently a little bit with Infinity War, which begs a couple questions. But
I think the events of the movie are a little bit way before, like months before.
Sure. And then this is just happening during that part.
They had to have time to create the portable thing to understand that they could do that.
Sure.
Go in there and get their energy and bring it back.
But then, he's like, all right, get me out of here, the quantum realm, and they've been disintegrated by Thanos' snap.
God.
All of them, except for Scott Lang, who is trapped in the quantum realm now because they can't extract him. So that's a really fascinating kind of cliffhanger. I don't know what they're going to do with that.
It's fucking crazy.
I'm really hoping he's going to be a part of Avengers. What will this be, 4?
Yeah. I mean,
the next one.
I think he definitely has to be. He, she talked about, what is it? She talked about the time vortex in there. So I was thinking, like, okay, maybe that's gonna be a way, but like, how does he like get out of there? Like, that's just terrible. Yeah. Like, I think it's such a cool way to do it. It just leaves you like, just kind of like, it like takes your heart from you.
It's such a huge cliffhanger, like in terms of like with the status quo in which they leave him. Like he's in that's a dire situation. He's basically trapped like Janet Van Dyne was. Now, theoretically, if someone comes back, like they have figured out the way to bring people back from that, and I'm assuming like their tech and stuff is tracking him or something. But
but if he spends too much time in there without anybody getting him out, remember they said like the stuff changes and he can be lost forever or whatever. I mean, I'm sure that's not going to happen, but it's just.
Yeah.
What if... Okay, here's my prediction, Doug. So what's going to happen is Scott is going to accidentally be put into the past, and he's going to become Michael Douglas.
What? That's nonsense.
He's just going to be Michael Douglas, and he's going to sign up for movies and like become an actor. He's going to be in... What's a Michael Douglas movie?
Wait, he's going to become the actor Michael Douglas?
Yes! What did you think? You're so weird. Why would I...
Oh, boy.
That'd be quite the twist, would it not?
They can't point out the existence of Michael Douglas in this universe.
I don't know, different dimensions. Fuck you.
One thing before we finish up here is I was also very interested with the approach they're taking with Hank Pym in this series. In that, like,
he
especially
seems like,
interesting
like
for you coming off of reading Ultimates.
Yes.
Because so obviously in Ultimates it's like pushed to the umpteenth degree.
Yes.
But for a long time.
Wait, you mean beating your wife is not okay?
Jesus. So for a long time in the regular in the 616, the regular Marvel universe, it's been a thing for Hank Pym that that at one point in his life he struck his wife Janet Van Dyne. That's always been a thing that has like haunted him, and we hadn't up until this movie had Janet Van Dyne in the picture. And in the first movie, we get hints at Hank Pym having anger issues.
Yeah.
He straight up punches a dude in the beginning of the movie. They characters treat him like he's an asshole. And they kind of, in some ways, continue that, although they've softened him a little bit. And he is reunited with Janet, and I wasn't anticipating them going full, like, he hit her in this universe. Mm-hmm. But I was anticipating them playing with the idea that maybe their relationship is not solid. That they were going to be reunited and she was going to still be harboring some sort of resentment towards him for, like, him being an asshole.
Okay.
Even if it wasn't, like, full, like, he hit her. But yeah, it's just... Hank Pym's continued existence in the comics is fascinating because of his canonical history with that. In that, like, how can you and should you deal with Hank Pym as a character in the Marvel Universe if he has that past?
Yeah.
Should you make him a protagonist in any way? Or does that make... Or... if you're not condoning it, does that make him an interesting character?
Yeah.
It's a tricky moral subject as a writer. But they seem to be just completely sidestepping that in this universe. I didn't think they were going to have him hit his wife.
Yeah, it's Disney.
He had hit his wife. But, like, I find it interesting that they're not even dealing with, like, with that at all. Like, not even like they seem to have dropped his anger issues thing. In some ways, I feel like we got some glimpses into this of him being an asshole. At least, like, they're keeping like that he's kind of a gruff, unlikable kind of guy in some ways. Yeah. But we didn't really get like someone set him off and he just lashed out in this one all that much in the same way that like was kind of a thing in the first movie, you know?
Yeah. I can see that.
But yeah, and they're just settling like once and for all in this universe. Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne are a happy couple in love, and I find that interesting when looking at that in contrast with like the fucked up situation the character is in the Marvel universe.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I mean, honestly, we don't really know that much. We really didn't get that much time with Michelle Pfeiffer in this, which I kind of wish we did more so. But I'm sure she'll show up. I'm sure they're gonna lay into that a little bit more. I don't know if Michael Douglas is signed on for more stuff. I hope so.
Yeah, who knows? I'm not sure. I would assume so. If they're gonna I would assume Michelle Pfeiffer was not a one-off because she's such a late addition into the movie even.
Yeah.
So it feels like to cast an actress of that caliber, like she must be signed on for more. And if they're going to have her in more movies, I feel like they kind of have to bring Michael Douglas along. Otherwise, that's weird.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But who knows? I don't know I have no idea what their contracts or whatever are.
Yeah. What do you think? Well, never mind. I don't know. I was going to ask you what you think of Evangeline Lilly in general.
Oh, I like Evangeline Lilly a lot. I think she's cool. I think she's like a fun choice for the Wasp, for like a character to like kind of challenge and support Paul Rudd in this series. I like them as a duo.
Mm-hmm. I think I don't know if it's like been stilted by like the last movie into this one, and they're like a relationship for this one kind of being not there but then being there. I don't know. I don't know if I believe they're like being together all that much. You know what I mean?
I mean, they honestly, that whole thing was pretty backgrounded in this movie. Yeah. Like, there wasn't really much, if any, development on the front of them kind of being sort of a couple.
Well, they were obviously mad at them mad at him at the beginning, and then they ended up making out at the end.
Yeah, but like there wasn't much in between in terms of like getting her back on his side or like talking about what that means for them or anything. It was just like over time, as they spent a bunch of time together and he helped them, she just kind of like, I guess like, I don't know, fell back in love with him or whatever if she wasn't at the beginning. But
I mean, maybe it's not that important, but
it wasn't like in the grand scheme of like what this movie was doing from a plot perspective. But yeah, it did feel kind of a little bit missing. Yeah. All right. So anyways, that's probably going to do it. Yeah, I think it generally I think it's not as good as it could have been is kind of how we both feel. Yeah. But I think it's doing some different interesting things and I enjoyed it for those bits. The ways in which it kind of twists what you expect from a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm. Also from twists in general about movies. How about I loved the relationship of him with his ex-wife and her husband. I think I'm just glad that they just don't, because I hate it when people just shoehorn that new boyfriend, new father role. It's refreshing to be like, oh, I like you, Judy Greer. Oh, I like you, other guy.
And they push it so far the other direction that it's a joke that the husband, his daughter's stepfather, is also loves him and gives him a hug every time. And it's so refreshing to see them completely sidestep that usually annoying trope. Yeah. And just do something I haven't seen that before. And that's hilarious. Yes. And I think that's great. And that's the kind of stuff that I think this movie, is really smart about. Mm-hmm. But we both enjoyed it. Definitely recommend it for people who liked the first movie or are looking for something different in the Marvel universe, especially after Infinity War.
Oh God,
it's a fun, light romp and with some good character stuff in it. Yeah, definitely a good movie. Cool. So cool. That's going to do it. If you haven't listened to it, we have an episode from this Sunday in the feed. I'm not sure if this is going to be released before or after it, but episode 34 should be in the feed right next to this one in some way. If you haven't listened to that, make sure to give that a listen. We do episodes on Sundays if you aren't a regular listener of the show. We talk about comics kind of related news, whether it's the movies or the comics themselves or other comics related media.
Well, we mostly talk about the comics themselves.
Yeah, but we talk about that stuff. We talk about the books we read every week, and we do that on Sundays. So be sure to give that show a listen. We've also got a bonus episode on Avengers: Infinity War. Mm-hmm. If you liked this one and want to hear our opinions on that, if you haven't listened to it, that was back when that movie came out. A couple months ago.
And if we're doing this for people that don't normally listen to the episodes, also, I haven't read a lot of comics, and Doug has read a lot, so that's the general hook, the premise.
Cool. So, so give those a listen, and that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for listening so much. I am Doug.
And you are Doug, and this has been Comics Covered Bonus.